Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLuga. Thanks so much for tuning in Monday, August 25th. Shout out to the wife. Happy birthday. No, you're not watching this, but wanted to get this out there real quick for y'all. Fred Johnson traded to the Philadelphia Eagles for a 2026 seventh round pick. So a lot of folks a little curious about this one. Was doing my fantasy draft last night with the buddies, and this trade came up, and everybody's like, Fred Johnson, why is he getting traded? Well, I have to assume, based on the trade, he was unlikely to make the roster. And I was, quite frankly, I was like on the fence about whether or not I thought he would make it. Thought maybe some of the injuries at offensive line, like Cole Van Lanen, potentially was going to help him make this roster. We don't know if Cole Van Lanen, who is out for the remainder of training camp, will be on the initial 53. Like, the Jaguars could place him on injured reserve. There's a number of different roster machinations they could potentially utilize if Cole Van Lanen is not ready for the start of the season, right? I think that he was a swing player, a key backup for them that they really valued. And, if he was available, I think that would be, that would make it harder for Fred Johnson to make this football team. When Fred Johnson was signed, a lot of people were very excited. I thought it was a good signing. I still think it was a good signing overall. I mean, the process made sense of signing a guy like Chuma Edoga, of signing a guy like Fred Johnson. These players who have had experience in winning offenses. Fred Johnson, started a lot of games for a Super Bowl caliber team, a Super Bowl winning team at left tackle. And so, yeah, it made sense for them to bring in, they were calling it competition. To me, it was clearly depth. But once Fred Johnson got here and got into this offense, it felt a little like not a great fit, honestly. Fred Johnson, while he does have experience in this league and he started some important games for the Eagles, he really struggled, in my opinion, in this offense. He was easily the most penalized offensive lineman for the Jaguars in practice, and he got called for false starts all the time. And it wasn't a Jawan Taylor with the Chiefs situation where he's like, whatever his his get off at the line of scrimmage is questionable, whatever, like people say he goes too early. This was just like him flinching. Fred Johnson just not being disciplined and focused enough to not jump, which it was an issue that popped up consistently for Fred Johnson. And then I also just don't think he performed at a super high level, which sometimes that happens with depth players. I mean, they're not key starters for teams for a reason, right? So it is kind of funny. Eagles don't re-sign him. Let him hit free agency, and then the Jags sign him, and what do you know? A few months later, Jags are trading him back to the Eagles for a seventh-round pick in 2026. No slight on him. I do think he's an NFL player. He's a guy that started games, as I mentioned, in this league. I just don't think when you look at the Jaguars' depth chart, there was a lot of room for him to make this team. You've got your starting five. You've got Wyatt Milam, who is also week to week right now, the rookie out of West Virginia, who started at West Virginia, a lot of football games at left tackle, never gave up a sack in the last 3 years, unbelievably. Every time I think about his collegiate career, that's like the craziest thing I've ever heard. Did not give up a sack in pass protection in 3 years, Wyatt Milam. But he's week to week. As I mentioned, Cole Van Lanen is he's out right now for training camp. Training camp's wrapping up, basically. We're going to hear from James Gladstone on Wednesday, I believe, after the cut downs, and then they have practice on Thursday that media will be allowed to attend. So we'll have those two outings. But this offensive line, with Cole Van Lanen healthy, with Wyatt Milam healthy, I really don't think there was any room for Fred Johnson at tackle. And you've got guys, Milam can play guard or tackle. Cole Van Lannon can play guard or tackle. Patrick McCary can play every position. Ezra Cleveland hasn't done it this year, but I mean, that's a guy who played tackle in college, right? Chuma Edoga can play guard or tackle. Jonah Monheim has played every position in his career on the offensive line. They have a lot of versatility. Football is back, ladies and gentlemen, and so is Underdog. It's the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. I absolutely love the user interface and user experience over on Underdog. It is second to none. And I am looking at Eagles and Cowboys for the season opener. Saquon to get higher than half a touchdown rushing and receiving. Yeah, I like that quite a bit. Saquon is a walking touchdown, in my opinion. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Duval Daily to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code Duval Daily. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. Outside of, I would say, Anton Harrison, Walker Little, and Robert Hainsey, every other offensive lineman can potentially play guard or tackle. Straight up. So, they've got a lot of versatility. They've got 8 right now. I would not be surprised if the Jaguars are active at offensive line, after cutdowns and they go get somebody that someone else has potentially cut. That would not be a surprise to me just when I look at the numbers. And we don't know how the Jaguars are going to structure their roster in terms of the numbers game. Offensive line, it looks like right now it's 8 if you assume Cole Van Lannon is not healthy to start the regular season. If Cole Van Lannon is healthy, then they have 9, and that feels like a reasonable number considering all the versatility they have within the room. That would not be surprising. 10, maybe. I think 9 is most likely, and I think Cole Van Lannon starting the season on like reserve/pup or injured reserve is likely. Just prognosticating here, thinking about how this could play out, and then signing someone that is released by another team that doesn't make a 53 on a team that has a lot of depth on the offensive line could potentially be the answer here. Now, I think the Jaguars' O-line is in a pretty good place overall. I think that they could upgrade along the interior in the future. I think they've got guys that should be starting in this league, deserve to be starting in this league. They make sense for the roster right now, but not necessarily like needle movers. And then at tackle, it's kind of up in the air how Anton Harrison and Walker Little will perform in this offense. I think both of them are very talented. Anton Harrison was a first-round pick for a reason. He's somebody I had like top 10, top 12 in the draft class 2023. I was a huge fan of his game. I think he has a really high ceiling, and the Jags are trying to get that out of him. They're trying to get the consistency out of him, because if he can play consistently, consistent effort, focus, discipline, he can be a really good tackle in this league. Walker Little, also a talented guy, now on his second contract with the Jaguars. Would be interesting to know what the Jags new brass thinks about that, because he was signed during the season by Trent Baalke. Not very long before Trent Baalke was ultimately, fired or mutually agreed to part ways, whatever they want to call it. Walker Little, it's basically $15 million per year. You look at a lot of the tackle contracts around the league, especially in free agency, it kind of seems like a bargain when you see Dan Moore getting what he got with the Titans, and obviously the Chiefs going out and getting the 49ers backup tackle and signing him to a big deal as well. So I think that the Jaguars overall are in a decent spot offensive line wise. I also think that Liam Cohen is going to do a good job scheme wise, structure wise to help his offensive line and just help his offense in general. I think he does a really good job of making things easier for players. The difficulty of it all is that the playbook is not easy. Mastering the playbook is the difficult part, in my opinion. But executing once you know the playbook front and back, and feel very comfortable in that playbook, that's when it gets easy. And it's never easy in the NFL. But it's an offense that really, if you can master your job in the offense, Liam Cohen's going to get the most out of you. If you can just master your assignment, right, he's going to let you or allow you to succeed, to thrive, in my opinion. That's what I saw in Tampa last year in a big way. I mean, guys that even you saw Robert Hainsey start a game last year, and he had one of the best games of his career. I think that this offensive line could be upgraded talent-wise in certain spots in the future, but I think that they're in a decent spot right now for the offensive line to execute and protect Trevor Lawrence. They're going to get the ball out quickly usually and execute in the run game, even more importantly. Run game that has really struggled here in Jacksonville. I think Liam Cohen's going to get the most out of these guys. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.